So I said last time that I have a new job. I am helping children from kindergarten up to about high school learn how to read and write. Really, what that means is just I'm helping them comprehend reading, doing reading comprehension and whatnot. And sometimes I have to help them spell, but I'm not very good at that because, I have dyslexia. And for me, a large part of my dyslexia is that I have a little bit of phonics dyslexia, which means that some sounds sound the same. And so I get to this little girl, and she's like, I've got to spell orchestra. And she looks right up at me and goes, how do you spell orchestra? And I just looked right down at her. I was like, that's a great question. And instead of like going, let's sound it out, I just walked right. I was like, I'll be right back. And I went over to this guy that's sitting in front of the computer because when we grade them, we have to enter them into the system. And so he's sitting down in front of this computer, putting the graded papers in. And I look him straight in the face and I go, hey, how do you spell orchestra? And he gives me like this really like, really? You're asking me how to spell something. I'm like, yeah. How do you spell orchestra? And he starts spelling it, and I'm looking him straight in the face the entire time, repeating the word, like each letter he says to me, O R, like the entire time. And I'm like, thank you. And as I walk back over, the little girl had already spelled the word. And so I just stood there and I went, let me check it against my hand. Congratulations, you got it right. So it's like little things like that at work where I'm just like, man, the blind leading the blind.
Nice.
So, roll intro. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Deanna. And we're
the Halfwit Sisters. Welcome back to another episode. This is 7. We're getting up there, baby sis.
Yeah.
What happened last episode?
We talked about generations. I was like, how am I supposed to know? I'm literally editing the video.
Yeah, we talked a little.
Know what happened?
We talked a lot. Huh?
I was like, how was I supposed to know what you haven't been looking at it for the last 2 hours.
Talked a lot about generations. Is that the only thing we talked about?
We briefly went through some scripts. I got to show off my lights. But yeah, that's pretty much what we talked through. At least for the first hour. I still have half an hour left of editing.
Gosh. Oh, and we talked about, I went through what I was trying to make a opening, but it turned out to be like way too in depth. So we had to move it down into like one of the other, like an actual section. And that was the character building. Yeah, I remember. It's like I could not match the intense energy I had at the beginning. So I think there's like a clear, like, here's the intense energy I had. And then like right after the cut where we're like, we're just going to take that part and move it over to the section. And then like right afterwards, we're like, okay, what were we talking about?
Pretty much. Pretty much exactly how it went down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that was episode 6. So if you haven't checked it out, you can wait till the end of this episode and go, because I now have added end cards to all of our episodes.
You should also be able to like add an info card and just like have it appear right now. Have you not figured out how to do that?
Yes, I know how to do that. I could have one pop up. If it hasn't by now popped up like 3 times. So, pop, pop. But I went back through and tried, and now I know how to do like specific end cards, because for the one where we talked about like your burnout, we also in that one had mentioned the episode where I had done talked about my panic attack, right?
Yeah.
So on that specific episode, at the end card on that one links back to the episode with the panic attack talk.
Okay.
So now I have figured out the mechanics on the back end, and I've now got an idea of how to start setting up for our stuff.
So,
yeah, for the choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure thing. So yes, I'm excited on that. Now I've got the little info card thingies that I'm getting to. The only thing that bothers me about the info card things, that, the little eye things that pop up, is if there's a link that we want to put up, I think we have to be in a certain thing, or we have to get like it approved. And I'm still trying to figure that out on my end. So if you're like, well, we want to go to your website, or put your website up, or put DJ's Linktree thingy up in the info card, the reason why that's not happening is because it's just not been approved. So you can find that down in our descriptions. And we should definitely start moving this to the beginning of our episodes instead of at the end. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us. Hit the little bell icon where we publish this episode. If this is the first time you've stumbled upon us, we'll put these episodes out every Friday. We're talking about our Choose Your Own Adventure game that we are making for YouTube using their system setup.
Yeah. And the TikTok videos that will lead up as like a marketing thing before and after the release of the game.
Right. So show setup. So we're going to actually be talking a bit about some TikTok news. So we have some updates on that, about the purchase. Not really a purchase, but we'll talk more on that. So some TikTok updates. If you don't know what's been going on about that, our very first episode talks about the drama that's been going on with TikTok. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about our marketing strategy, which talks about kind of the our thing, which will lead into like the Belladonna scripts we've been doing. So DJ, you have done a lot of writing, which does officially make you a writer. So congratulations, you now have that title, whether you like it or not. And then how we're starting to transition into storyboarding, because we have approved some of the scripts, which are really nice. And then we'll go from there. Okay. So if we have anything else we're going to add in, we always at the end, always, what I do once we start putting our episodes up in the, this is going to be episode 8. This isn't going to be episode 7.
Oh, this is episode 8, because episode 7, I'm editing episode 7.
Yeah. This is episode 8. We always record like a week in advance. That's why it gets so scrambled. Okay, so let me make sure you fix this. I throw myself off. I always put in our description sentence.
The description drop down the time links for our segments.
Yeah, so what you guys by now would be seeing is that our time bar on our video is broken up into sections. That is because I have broken our stuff down into minutes, and you can just go down there and click on whatever interests you the most. So if you just want to watch whatever about our TikTok news, or just interested in storyboarding, you can just go click on those minutes and it will take you straight to that part of the video. So subscribe, like, comments, let us know what you like about what's going on. If you have comments, if you have any critiques for us, please put them down in the comment sections. We'd love to even have a part of our podcast dedicated just to the community. It would be great to have that. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into the first part here, which is the TikTok news update.
Yeah. So TikTok, Microsoft did not win the bid to buy TikTok straight out. There's another company called Oracle who won the bid, but not to buy it, but to rather work as a technology partner to monitor the U.S. data.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's completely different.
I have no clue what that means.
So that's completely different.
For TikTok.
Huh?
I said I have no idea what that means exactly for TikTok and creators.
So that's completely different than what Microsoft was doing. Microsoft was saying we are going to own the operations, which means everything that TikTok did, we would have full control over here in America. That's what they were saying. Oracle was saying we're not going to own anything of TikTok. We're just going to be their partner and just monitor how they use the data, how they work, and probably offer them like storage for something like the way YouTube does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Offers a lot of storage for video for TikTok so that they can monitor how it is. The thing a lot of people are worried about, I think I saw one bit about this. The thing that a lot of people are worried about is that Oracle is also owned by one of President Trump's friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go find that specific article. But I think that was a lot of things that some people were worried about. But that's the difference between being the technology partner versus being the business, owning that business. So when you see people going, oh, Oracle bought them, no, Oracle didn't buy them. Oracle has agreed to be their partner so that they can monitor how they run their operations. Now, a large part of that also is because China threw in kind of a wrench into the whole thing where they said that, look, if you want TikTok, you're also going to have to broker a deal with us to get the algorithm. The algorithm is pretty much the secret sauce for TikTok, meaning that you may be able to buy TikTok, but you'll have to broker a different deal to get the algorithm, the secret sauce. So it's like buying Chick-fil-A without the Chick-fil-A sauce. And it's like, no, that's not why we want this thing at all. So that's probably why Oracle won the deal, because they're like, hey, look, we'll let them run without taking any of that thing. You'll get to keep your secret sauce. We just want to make sure that the data is there, that we want to watch that data and see how that data is used. So that's probably what's going on there.
Yeah. So it still has yet to be seen what all of this means for TikTok as a whole, or even if the Trump administration will allow this.
Hold up, Halfwit Sisters. I am hijacking our news section. Now, at the time, we normally record our episodes a week in advance, and we weren't sure whether or not Trump was going to approve the Oracle deal with ByteDance. We also weren't sure whether or not we were going to have to remove TikTok from our devices on September 20th, or actually whether or not mobile stores were going to have to remove TikTok. We know that on Saturday, a bunch of people were downloading TikTok app because of the pending removal from the stores. Well, the Trump administration has said, hey, go ahead with the deal. And now there's going to be, within 12 months, an entirely new company coming out called TikTok Global. And that is going to be between ByteDance, Oracle, and Walmart. Oracle is going to be the technology partner. They're going to be hosting the data. All the data of that is going to be for the American side of TikTok. And Walmart is going to explore the whole e-commerce side. And you might have also heard about a $5 billion education fund that Trump is trying to get into works to teach the real U.S. history. Well, here's the thing. Neither ByteDance, Oracle, or Walmart know anything about that. What they do know is that the $5 billion is from taxes that they're going to have to pay for the creation of TikTok Global. They also have, what did they said? It was education that they're putting together, some AI-driven things, some actual classes and things like that they're actually putting together through some of their platforms and other initiatives. So really, where Trump is getting any of this $5 billion education stuff, nobody really knows. It just seems to be another promise that he's making in the whole campaign that he's doing for his next run as president. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on that. For now, TikTok is here to stay. They made an announcement on that. If you had the app, you probably saw something come across your screen that said TikTok here to stay. So we don't have to make any changes on our end to what we're doing with the Belladonna project. So yay for us. Anyways, I'm returning you back to your regular scheduled podcast, and I'll see you next time.
Because he had signed that executive order that after a certain date, no U.S. company or citizen can do business with China.
Could do business with TikTok.
Yeah.
With TikTok, not China, with TikTok. And for today, which is where we're recording this on Monday, Tuesday, the 15th, right? Yeah, September 15th. We're recording this on September 15th. So today it's saying that nobody could have any sort of thing. And for a lot of people, that's like, oh, well, and also it's like one of the things that were circulating around for a while too is that TikTok would be shut down in the U.S. the same way that India and a couple other places have shut down TikTok. So have banned TikTok. And for a lot of people, some people that have been working here in the U.S. on TikTok have been like, well, that's going to affect our paycheck. So we're seeing a lawsuit. There was a lawsuit out about that.
Yeah. And so that's actually in court today, and it has nothing to do with the TikTok suing the Trump administration, but it is an individual suing the Trump administration because by allowing this to go through, it prevents them from getting paid for the work they're doing. They're legal employees. They're doing work at a legal company, and you're basically infringing the right to make paid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Done.
Right. So the Trump administration has come out and said, no, this isn't really affecting you at all. This isn't that isn't going to be the thing that if you're still going to get paid. So we're going to link down in our description section somebody who has talked on this and knows a lot more about what's going on than we do, because they've really been watching this story develop. It's a wonderful TikToker who's really just taking like the whole nitty bitty bit stuff about this and really just getting to the grit of it.
And this TikToker, she's great. She's a news TikToker, so she's giving us news on just not just even TikTok, but she gives us stuff about the election. She gives us stuff current events, and they're all very nonpartisan, which is what I love about it. She doesn't try to sway you either way. She just gives you the facts, which is great because she has a minute to do these videos in.
Yes. One of the other people that I watch for news is Phil DeFranco. Have you ever seen his stuff?
I haven't seen him, but I know who you're talking about.
Right. I like watching him because he also doesn't really give you like a bias. He's not very biased. He's also just trying to give you the facts.
Yeah. There was one video for the lady. I want to say her name's Lisa.
I don't know.
But we'll link her. She did a video about why Kanye West is going to be on a couple ballots.
Yeah.
And her comment section was like, way to not be way to be like push your agenda. And it was like, no, she wasn't pushing her agenda. She's just telling people, hey, you might actually see him on your ballot because he qualified to be there.
I know you want to get inside that, but like I turned it the wrong way. You're really gonna try.
So yeah, she does it very quickly. You were saying that she speeds her video up just a tad bit, so she's not like you can actually understand her, but she speaks at a faster rate to be able to fit all what she wants in that clip into that clip.
Yes. So we'll link her down in the description. Check it out. She has wonderful vids. The last thing, I'm trying to think of what's the last thing to say about it, but really there's nothing. So yeah. We'll leave it at that.
By the time this video comes out, I'm sure there'll be more information.
Yeah, the other thing is like, if it is banned, it's not banned on the 15th. It's supposed to be banned on the 20th. She again goes into more detail on that because it's really like a nitty-gritty thing, and you have to have really dissected the whole executive order that Trump signed.
Yeah.
So we'll link it down in the description below.
Yeah. So, and she's like a great little, like, just to get like blurbs of like what's happening with everything. It's a great videos.
Yes.
Love it. Follow her.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty. So I have marketing ? And the only reason why I really have this is because we're talking a little bit about the scripts, and where we mentioned in one of the previous videos is that we're changing a little bit of how we're doing the TikTok videos from just Belladonna to being Belladonna and acting challenges. So
not all of them are acting challenges.
Right, not all of them.
I don't know if you've seen her, but there's another TikToker who does your boyfriend's best girlfriend.
No.
Okay. Basically she's like the worst best friend. She like wants to be in a relationship with the guy, but she's like, I'm joking. It's some of our videos might be more in that line, and I'll send you one later. Where it literally is just Belladonna talking, and you could duet, but it's not like the whole acting challenge where it's like meant to be duetted.
Okay.
So
okay.
We'll basically our TikTok videos leading up into this, we'll just kind of be exploring different like forms. Because there's one that I have that's like the perfect loop, which is a video challenge on TikTok, is trying to get a video that has a perfect loop. And yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to merge in some like trends, right? Trends that are on TikTok with the whole Belladonna, the henchman Belladonna and villain Belladonna stuff, so that we can get views. So it's like a balance of doing original content, but also trying to add in some like viral things, paying attention to some viral things. I got onto the whole one of the videos that I did that I wouldn't say it went viral, but it definitely jumped onto the viral trend. There's like this one lady that was like, I know this is kind of dark, but I don't want to be here. I don't want to die, but like I don't want to be here. I want to go out into the universe, and I just kind of want to hang out there. like, and that was like, that's my highest video views. So that's like one thing. And then you have the acting challenges, and then you have one that's been going around where people is like being like, you have got to stop, and then it's like something that's like really generic, and I think that's something we can definitely do with like Belladonna, evil like villain. It's like you have got to stop putting destruction or mass destruction video or whatever it is on on your machines, something like that, so that we can balance out original content, but also getting those views onto our content so that we could gain more awareness to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That concludes that section. Way to go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point of social media, is a lot, you follow a lot of trends, and trends come and go, but you also can't, like, if you can catch on them quick, your video can go slightly viral and get you more followers, and then they're watching your content. So, you know, using the hashtags and popular sounds of the time can really help with that and market and bring people into the game.
Another thing we're probably really going to have to start thinking about, especially if this next week, is what to do if TikTok is banned.
Yeah.
That's now a very close reality. So we have about 5 days, because the ban goes into effect on the 20th of September. And if nobody has like a real good clue on like what's going to be happening, well, now we have to change some of our content strategies.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Maybe we'll just hop on the Instagram Reel thing, which isn't as great. I was looking at it, and it's not as great. It's not as fleshed out.
It's also very 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's very clearly like a money grab. Like a grab at, what do you call it?
Trying to be TikTok, but not.
Yeah, it's like trying to cash in on the possibility of TikTok losing its whole demographic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you talked about OnlyFans briefly. You asked me to look into that.
Woo!
Did you find out what OnlyFans does a lot?
Yeah, so, okay, look, I know what OnlyFans does. It's not the only thing it does, okay? Yeah. It's a lot like Patreon. Patreon was known a lot for its sex work as well, before it did a mass cleanse of it, right? OnlyFans went and picked that up because sex workers needed a form of income, and there's really no other place you can go. So OnlyFans is filling that up. It's not the only thing OnlyFans does.
Yeah,
okay,
it's just known for it right now.
Huh? Yes, it is. And a lot of the reasons why it's really known for it right now is because of the whole Bella Thorne thing. If you don't know what happened, I'll give you a quick rundown. Bella Thorne is a former Disney star who has broken out and is known for being kind of eccentric and doing her own thing, and also trying to like stand up for like the other alternative styles of making some money. So she does this thing where she gets onto OnlyFans. Some celebrities have also done this, but she's the one that caused the most issue most recently, where she got onto OnlyFans, said that she was going to post this really raunchy thing, made it for $200. People went and paid it. Then she posted a picture. It wasn't raunchy in any sort of way. People felt scammed. They demanded a refund. They got their refund. So it caused this massive ecosystem change, right? Everybody started freaking out. People that relied on it because OnlyFans changed their entire way their platform ran after that. Certain creators could only get paid once a month, which changed the way that people had been relying on their money because they could no longer just go and cash it out exactly when they needed it. other people were upset because now it was started to get called a scam site because of what Bella Thorne did. And so like all these people got really upset, and then she came back with this whole thing about, oh well, I'm doing a documentary with this dude about how OnlyFans affects people and the lifestyle that you have with OnlyFans. And people are like, well, when's this documentary coming out? And she's like, we don't really know. And then the guy that she named came back and said, we're not doing this. This isn't happening. And that wasn't going to be for a few years, even if we did do it. And so she comes back and goes, well, I'm talking to them now to figure out, like, I'm talking to OnlyFans now to figure out, like, what's happening so we can get this all settled out, because she got called off on her bullshit. So that's what happened with OnlyFans. That's why now it's in, like, the whole open world for everybody to see, because every creator that relied on OnlyFans for its money, because now they could go and, like, pursue that side of themselves where they're just like, I just want to show my titties to people and be paid for it. Like that, those people, their entire lifestyle was suddenly upended because somebody went and pulled some shit. Right. So that's what happened in the whole run of things. Was that an entirely needed rant? No, but I feel like
you got really passionate about it.
I did, because I feel like people just kind of misunderstand that stuff. Yeah. That kind of stuff, especially when sex work is tied to a platform. They immediately put on there, that's all it's known for.
Yeah, because there's such this big stigma against sex work, and we'll not get into it in this, but like there's such this unneeded stigma against it. No, but like a lot of people use the OnlyFans. It was just like when I first started looking at it before all this Bella Thorne stuff, that's what like people were like, that's like, oh, OnlyFans just does all this. And I was like, well, that's great for them. Maybe that's not the platform we want to get on.
Right. I mean, the other alternative is Patreon, which a lot of creators, I'm on Patreon. I haven't really done anything with it in the last couple of years, but there's reasons for that. That's good to go. But even if you go with Patreon, OnlyFans, there's a couple of other sites that are just like it. Even if you go with that, you still have to deal with the saturation. You still have to do a crazy amount of work. Even the people that are on OnlyFans and rely on it doing sex work, they still have to put in a massive amount of work.
Because
right? Like,
there's a thing that fell across my Facebook feed recently. It's like no one starts off with 10K in anything. They don't start making 10K a month. They don't start with 10K followers. They all have to start somewhere. And so it's like, even if we wanted to get on that platform, the massive amount of work we have to put in to get the traffic to it to make this profitable, or not even just profitable, but somewhat successful, is a lot.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. It should be a lot, because you want to stand out, you have to work for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, when we're doing all this marketing, yeah, we have our Facebook and we have our Instagram, but we also have to figure out how else to market that.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, Jen ran aside for OnlyFans. Like, that's one of the things we're really super focused on, is drawing attention. Or at least I'm really, really super
drawing
focused
attention in a good way.
Yes. Yes. And so I understand why you're like, well, I don't know if OnlyFans is really where we want to go with it. But I was like, look at the platform just to see.
Yeah.
Just to see. One of the YouTubers I used to watch was the Good Mythical Morning crew. There was another platform that they used for content as well, for paid content too. And I looked at that briefly, and it was another one of those, we put out videos there, and you have to pay for it first, and whoever pays for it gets to see the stuff first, and then we release it for free. So there's all sorts of things out there. Just for our first project, we're really just kind of experimenting ourselves and looking at what benefits there are and like the pros and cons of everything that's out there. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I guess we'll just put a pin in that. Come back to it. But that's definitely one of the things that I've been looking at is where's our future? Where are we heading? If we are going to start making this more of a thing, especially if we're wanting to like find a way of making any sort of income off of this so that we can fund more projects as we're moving forward, right? Like this first one, I think it's fine to release free for the first time because we're learning. But then once we get those skills, I think we're going to want to start figuring out how to get something off of that.
Yeah.
You know, being realistic.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I don't mind like going on to OnlyFans and starting to do stuff there and like making like these TikTok type videos be like 10 cents to unlock.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's there for us to do. It's just, where do we want to put the energy into building the channel?
Right. And that's kind of why I went with Patreon the first time. Because you could do a thing where you can build an entire platform and sync Patreon into it. So if I was to go back and rebuild my entire blog, I could actually merge my Patreon in there and I could set up some of my blog posts to be locked down. And the only way that you could get into some of those posts would be to be a member of my Patreon. So if I was to do that same thing, if I was to go, okay, we make a company together. I'm not saying this is what we're doing. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, we go and decide to make a company together. That's whatever. The Halfwit Sisters is now a company. And we decide it's a production company, and our whole thing is we do whatever the hell we want, right? We make games, we make short films, we do whatever, right? But we lock some of our stuff behind a paywall, right? We have the ability to do that. There's stuff out there that would allow us to lock it behind a paywall, but we can turn that into memberships. And for people that want to follow us for that content, they would be able to sign up for that membership and be in and just get that whenever we do something, right? Yeah. So that's much further down the line. And I'm not saying that's what we're doing, but that's also that I don't even know why we got into that conversation, but that's much further down the line. I know we got into OnlyFans and then that thing and blah, 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 blah. I guess it's because
other thing what would happen is I would want to make sure that we have, if not content, ideas for content, so that if we do start doing this, it's like, okay, we don't just start talking about it and then it takes 5 months for us to put it out. We start talking about it, it gets out in whatever 5 months, but we already had content to fill those 5 months because 5 months previous to that, we were already doing content.
I guess another reason why we're kind of also talking on this is because we also know that, like in our YouTube channel art and getting our theme song, we know that we're going to have to spend some money here and there.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't want it to constantly come out of our own pocket every single time, because doing that means that I have to have a solid job that I can put money into. And really right now I make like $9 off of 3 hours. I don't even make like $40 right now. Right? So it's hard for me to fund any projects. Yeah. Right? And for you, it's like you have to take on extra work to even fund one of our projects, right? So when we're thinking of our future projects that we want to do, say, like one of the podcasts we're thinking of doing is a story podcast called How Unlucky. We're wanting to do this, but we know it's going to cost a lot more than what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna really want to get some other voice actors and some sound design in there. So in order to do that, we're gonna need some more funding. And that's where things like Patreon really come into play, because that means we can start community fundraising for those expenses. So it doesn't come out of our pockets, and we don't take on as much of the financial burden as we are now. Like, this is why we're talking about that, because we're looking at our current project and we're going, how much money is coming out of our pocket?
Yeah.
Right. And that's another part of marketing that I didn't bring up before, which is something I didn't really which is another thing I didn't bring up, but like, what is our budget?
Currently we're running without setting a budget, so the fact that I keep the fact that I keep choosing to buy certain things,
right?
It's like, it's fine. I didn't have a budget in the beginning, so it's fine.
Right, but we can't run like that if we continue.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If we decide to take Belladonna and do a short film with her, we can't do a full costume design of her and 3 other characters off of just because you have the money. It's like that's not viable.
Not how the budget works.
Right. So, and if we decide to really go into like a full marketing thing where we're like, well, we do TikTok, we do like an actual full push on like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and Twitter ads and even Google and YouTube ads, then like we're gonna need a budget for that.
Yeah.
Right? Because all of that costs a little bit of money. And there's people out there, well, Facebook, you don't need more than like $5 or $10 to really get started there. Yeah. But then once you start spending a little bit of money, Facebook does this thing where it starts asking you for more money. It's like a panhandler. It just goes, hey, you got $1? You got more dollars? You got $30? Right? And then it starts making it harder for your content to get seen because you put in $1. It's like, you put in $1, you think we're going to let you get seen for $0 again? Like that's how Facebook starts to work. So we're thinking about these things, and we know in the future it's unrealistic to continuously go, can we afford it off of what we have? And I'm honest and to say no.
Yeah.
No. And if we do want to continue to make things, then it's going to come down to how do we fund that? Do we look for grants? And there are tons of grants out there for us to do that on. So yes. Do we go to community fundraising? In that case, do we go for like Indiegogo, where we do one-time fundraisers? Or do we do Patreon, where we get continuous funding? Yeah. That, again, goes to our whole thing of where we make continuous content.
And I know a lot of TikTokers will do Coffee or Ko-fi, one of the two, and put their Venmos on so that people can just send the money, and that's how they make income, and that's how they have like their Amazon wish list so that the people can just send them stuff. And that's like all stuff that you can do. I feel uncomfortable doing it, but I have a coffee. I don't even market it. It's on the bottom of my link tree, so it's buried under all the other links on there.
Yeah, but that's also relying on the generosity of other people.
Yeah. Right?
That is, first of all, some of those people also have a larger following.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, even to put their links into their TikTok, they have to have minimum 1,000 followers.
Right. And so first they have to have 1,000 followers. Then they also have to rely on the generosity of their followers. Right. And that's something else. That's community building.
Yeah.
That's another part, right?
Which is consistent content too.
Right. That's another part. Not only just consistent content, but also consistent interaction.
Yeah.
That's replying to comments, it's making videos to some of the comments, it's constantly being aware of what's going on in your community, reinforcing things that you want to see in your community, calling out things you don't want to see in your community, being attached to it 24/7. Like, that's constant work. And that's what being, when people talk influencer, that's what a real influencer is. That's not these Beanie Babies people that get on there and are just like, I'm an influencer, look how many people I have, right? No, these are people that are sitting down and they're really taking the time to build the kind of group they really want to interact with. So long, whole big thing we went into, but this is all that we're talking about when we're talking about marketing, raising awareness, and like how you fund things. And I think we're kind of like at that edge of it. We're not doing it for this project because we're experimenting on this project.
Yeah.
Right. And also because we weren't really thinking of how to fund this project when we first started.
Look, this project wasn't supposed to be so big. It turned into it.
Well, and
it
that's
was
just
supposed to be like a 5 little pick a thing, and you get 2 choices, and then it turns into like 5 endings, and that was just supposed to be it.
But that's not what it was gonna, like, when I knew it wasn't gonna be that small. I guess that's the difference between you and I on this too. I knew it wasn't gonna be that small because there was gonna be like a lot of footwork leading up and a lot of footwork after.
Yeah.
And that's only because I've worked on projects and ran a company in marketing for like a year, which, you know, makes me like a expert on these kinds of things. But joking aside, just it, no matter what you're really doing, when you're trying to get people interested, there's just so much work you have to put in to get even one person to say yes that it's kind of overwhelming. And so I knew that this project wasn't, like, we could have just said, we're only doing this many videos, and then we're only doing this many videos, and we could have stuck to that. Yes, we could have done that, and that would have been fine. But we're overachievers. We're not even overachievers. We've never been. Like, growing up, we've never been overachievers. We've just been like, how can we
do something, and then just went with the flow.
Yeah. So okay. Well, so we'll leave it there.
Stopped and looked. Oh crap! This is a lot of work. All right, we're already here.
Right. So we'll leave it there. There's a lot more of that conversation that we'll probably be having in the future. But we'll leave what we have there. You know, funding. Most of that is something that we really want to think about. But first, our first phase is just making sure this project gets done and building awareness off of that. And if we can just do this one thing, I think we'll feel a lot more settled and a lot more confident to start pursuing other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just find it funny. Like our first project is 40 TikTok videos, 20 to lead up, 20 to go away, and the game. And it's like, this is our experiment.
And we're running on a zero budget. Okay, so let's talk about the Belladonna scripts. So you wrote quite a few of them.
So occasionally I get put into an office where my job is to answer the phones. But this certain office does not get a lot of phone calls because it's an internal line. And it was put in place because of current world events. And we're coming towards, like, hopefully the end of that, of why we needed this office in the first place. So I have sometimes a lot of time on my hand. A lot of time I can just scroll through TikTok. One of the days I could not do that because big bosses outside of the hospital were around. And so I had to look busy. And since I had nothing else to do, I ended up writing.
Mm-hmm. Which makes you an official writer. Congratulations.
Yeah, somehow. But yeah. So I wrote so that we have, and not all of these are going to end up in filmed or like as they are, but I wrote we have 21 for the lead up and like 7 for the end, for the lead up into the game, and then 7 for the out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing.
Yep.
I haven't gone through all of your notes.
I think there's one where I just straight up said, "This is boring."
You did. But yeah, so I still have to go through some of them. But like there are some that are just like, yep, this is good. You have a note here that goes, "Why do you keep giving me the dyslexic grammar errors?"
Yes, I rewrote. So, DJ will frequently just word vomit onto, which I don't have a problem with, but she'll frequently just word vomit, and it's in particular the ones where it's like Belladonna doing the complaining to Mr. Grumps, which is the panda, and it'll be so jumbled that I have to decipher what's going on, and I'm just like, why do you keep doing this to the dyslexic? So I got, and it's like 3 weeks of me having to decipher. After 3 weeks of having to decipher most of the scripts that she's been writing, I just lost my mind and went, why do you keep doing this to me? Another thing I noticed that you keep doing in your scripts is, this is very common for if this was like a radio drama. They do this kind of thing where they're like, why did you punch me? But I don't feel like you need to do this for something that's a visual media. But you tend to have Belladonna do this a lot. He locked me in a closet. I don't think you really need to do that.
I think it's just because the way I picture it is all of a sudden, like on that one, it's like getting pushed backwards because you don't have that other character, and then a door closing in front of you, and it's like, well, what just happened?
So that's where sound is going to come into play?
Yeah.
Are we planning on not having sound?
Yes, but at the same time, I think the way my brain works when I'm writing is very, how would I act that out?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, when I'm looking and seeing what it would look like as the video, I'm like, okay, but that doesn't make sense visually without that line.
All right, so I'm going to teach you something that I know you know, but I'm going to have to reinforce this. Show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Which means show what's going on in the scene. Don't tell us what's going on in the scene. This is very important, in particular for visual media. The whole reason what this means is like remove exposition. Exposition is when you're telling what's happening in the scene. So a lot of times if you're watching a movie and you're just listening and the character keeps saying, well, he's punching me in the face, or why are you stabbing me? Why are you stabbing me in the face? Right? That's like a lot of exposition. Or they take time to just stop and tell you what's happening in the movie. And you're like, yeah, I know what's happening in the movie. I just watched what's happening in the movie for the last 30 minutes. Why are you telling me? Yeah. Right? That's a lot of exposition.
Yeah. And yes, I do know this. And again, it's just because of the way I am thinking on how I'm going to film these, I don't get to do camera movement.
Right. So but I'm not even
very static. So if all of a sudden I disappear from frame, in a perfect world, I would pull back and you would see it's a camera, it's a closet door, and like it'd say closet or whatever. But I can't do a pullback.
Right. So I get what you're saying. So in my mind, I'm like, well, how do we do that without telling? Right? Because I feel it's too on the nose to keep saying what's happening. And I guess that's where we're having this collision in the writing, because I'm like, no, you can't keep telling us what's happening, because that's a problem. Right? So in my editor mind is going, I have to keep removing where you keep telling us what's happening, because that's a problem. So yeah. I know where you're going with it. I know why you keep doing it, but also I'm like, I don't think we need to do that because it's a visual medium.
Yeah.
So my thought is like, well, what are the ways we can show this without? So this goes into storyboarding.
Yeah.
So this is where we try. So when we hit the scripts that we know we like, this is where we go into the storyboarding process. This is also where we're refining the scripts even further, right? So if there's one where we're like, okay, how can we really show this without really telling it? So that one where that one's not approved, but let's just say we're really wanting to do that one. Like, how could we show that? Even if we can't do the camera pull out, how could we show that? Or how could we put in cues that that's what happened to her, right? Maybe instead of like her getting maybe instead like there are cues of just like the sounds of her being thrown into what do I call it? Brooms and mops, and maybe one falls towards the camera, and that's it. Right? And that's how we know she got thrown into the closet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Something more visual that kind of clues us into what's happening, or some sort of sound that kind of clues us into what's happening. That's a lot more interesting than somebody turning around and going, he just shoved me in the closet.
Yeah. And a lot of that, and I had the conversation with the guy last night, some of it you'd also, I think, doesn't help that I also don't put tone in this. Like, I could put sarcastic and that might help, but some of it just like is also how you read it.
Mm-hmm.
How you read it can change that exposition into comedic. Mm-hmm. So it's not just like, oh, great, he locked me in a closet. It's more of, he locked me in a closet. Yep. Damn it. Type thing.
Right. My other problem, though, is when you do it continuously, though,
I didn't think I was doing it continuously.
I felt like it was a kind of continuous thing, but maybe that's just because I'm sitting there reading multiple scripts one after another. So it felt more continuous for me. Because it was like, she's stuck. And then maybe I also edited the one where she was stuck in where her foot was stuck in the
Yeah.
yeah, I changed that up a bit. Yeah, I think it's all like you said. Sometimes because you don't really put in the vocal cues, maybe it might be because I missed those vocal cues, and I don't know exactly what tone you're going for. And a lot of times, I just think she sounds angry most of the time.
Yeah. There's a couple that I was like, yeah, I can see where you see her sounding angry because there were several that were angry, but then you like, I saw a note on one, I was like, but she's not angry in that.
Right,
She's
but that's
playing
how
with him.
But that's how it only sounded to me. So like maybe that's the other thing is like and that's why I started trying to put like the like suggested changes on. So you could go in and be like, no, and then put your own notes in there. Is like, no, this is the reason why I made that, or this is what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah. And like there are some that are just like, this is a lead up into the next one, which both can stand on their own, but like you make a change in from A Terrible Design into Not in Trouble, which are two of the titles for some of them, and it's like Not in Trouble is directly after A Terrible Design, which A Terrible Design is talking about the self-destruct button.
Mm-hmm.
And you changed Ethan's terrified face when Delta hit the button to Ethan's confused face, and it's like, no, he's terrified because he hit the self-destruct button.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, we're having this impromptu dance party because that's what literally just happened at the end of the previous one.
Right. I just didn't think that Ethan, being like the kind of businessman that he is and kind of cool and collected underneath the collar, would be terrified.
I mean, if you told someone to put a self-destruct button in,
yeah, I feel like you would be kind of like, you're going down with me, bitch.
that was a complete. See, my mind on that one was Delta saw a button. It was like, this is why we don't have big red buttons, because everyone wants to push the big red button. And so Delta, in his stupidity, pushes the button.
But that's not how that scene was set up.
That's how I was trying to set it up.
That's not how that scene was set up. That whole context was not there.
Yeah. So, and that's part of editing. It's like, so you changed it, and I'm like, but you took out the fact that Delta hit the button, and that's
right.
supposed to scare everyone.
Right, because that wasn't the context that I got out of that. The context you had put in there was like Hollow, like they figured out Hollow was there trying to catch them in the act, and Delta, like Ethan commanded Delta to hit the button, kind of like Yzma commanding Crump to hit the button, pull the lever.
Yeah.
And then Delta did it, and then the thing went off.
So I thought I had put that, and I guess that might have been my fault, was Delta hits the button, and it just so happened Hollow was there.
All right, yeah, that's not how that was put.
Hitting the button and then discovering Hollow's there is how that system of events worked.
No, your context is... So that's another thing you tend to have a problem with, too, is your context is off. So, and this is a lot... I have the same problem with some of the kids that I work with. It's like their context. Your context was not there. It wasn't there at all. So I did not understand what you were coming with. So that's why I ended up editing both of those scripts out differently.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand why Delta did what he did. And the whole thing sounded as if they had figured out that Hollow is there.
No.
So you need, if that's where you're going with, then you need to clean up the context of both of those so that there's a better understanding of how each of them lead into it. So you really need to suss out how that is happening entirely. And in that case, the way that you made it sound is that, in that case, like, that doesn't sound like that's a Belladonna script at all. That doesn't sound like that's something that Belladonna would have been involved in. That sounds like that's an entirely thing that's between Ethan and Delta only. And then, like, then somebody comes in and says, hey, just to let you know, Hollow is here. Just thought you were, just need to know. And then Belladonna would have her scene afterwards with Grumper and said, you need to hear this mess that just happened, Grumpers. And then
Which
talks
is what
about
this
that.
was supposed to be, was that the not in trouble is Skylar didn't get it, heard Bella talking to Mr. Grumper going, Skylar didn't get in trouble because she changed the button. Instead of it being a self-destruct button, it was an impromptu dance party because it was just like a prank.
DJ, you're defending. I understand where you're getting from. You're defending. Listen to me. I get where you're coming from. I know what you're trying to say. You have 3 scripts that lead into each other. What I'm telling you is your middle script, its context was not there.
It's only 2 scripts.
It felt like 3.
No, it's only 2.
Oh. Well, one of your scripts, you might want to break them into 3 so that you can build in that context.
Yeah. And that's the other issue is, like, as I'm writing these, some of these are kind of hard because the context of what it is, yeah, I would like to have that scene with Ethan and Delta, but I don't have an Ethan and Delta. So I'm only doing it from Bella's perspective.
Then maybe that's just not a scene you write. Maybe that's just you do the whole Skylar and Bella where she's like, where they do that thing and then it's like she hits you. It's how what I don't even have the script open in front of me. Nope, that's not it. Where and it ends with like the dance party going off.
So a terrible design.
Okay, so then the one that needs all the context is her rant.
Yeah, which that's now the one because it's all deleted. I don't even know where it was all because I don't have an extra copy of that.
You can just.
But
okay, just leave that one for me, and I'll do it.
Okay.
Just tell me what you were trying to do. What you wanted. Put in bullet points what you want that to be, and leave it for me.
Okay.
Okay. Just if there's ones that I done the massively, because this would be where I'd go, oh, just do a version control because you can go up into Google Docs and pull out the version. But because I went through and did a lot of the corrections, you do it, and anything that I had done will be corrected. That's why I keep trying. Why I try to turn on the suggestions, and that was the day that I forgot to do that because I was having some external crisis that day. Yeah. Okay, so that went on a lot longer. You can cut that out and just put like we argue about scripts. Like, you can cut this down into like one thing of like here's some things of where we're arguing about scripts.
Yeah.
But I get where you're coming from on that, and I just that one is just missing context. Okay. All right. But yeah, go through those. Any that you feel like, no, this is what I was trying to say, and I made a lot of corrections on. Just bullet point what you were trying to do, and I'll go in and I'll do that.
I think that one was the biggest one because you completely changed the context entirely. And then I can't, and that's the reason I got defensive is because I can't go back and show you what I was trying to do because I don't have my original script anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going forward, especially if you do a mass change like that, it's better just to put it like for this one 9.2 not in trouble revision. That way we can see where we were.
I'll just put the version control on.
Yeah. Because I don't think you did that on any other ones. It's just on that one you completely deleted, and now I can't even tell you. I can't edit where I was because it's not there anymore. Which is just, it's a personal thing. I don't like my stuff getting deleted, so I can't go back and edit.
Uh-huh. We'll get used to it. We'll have version control. So if you go to so at the top, right underneath share, if you see the little pin that's right next to the triangle, next to the calendar, there's a suggesting. You turn that on and it will turn on suggestion. And what that does is it just puts everything in kind of like an editing mode, and it will prevent that problem in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this pretty much, this is also talking about like transitioning into storyboarding. And that's just like figuring out what sounds we want for what script, pulling those scripts out and breaking down like scene by scene on how we really want that to look.
Yeah. And so the way I storyboard is probably not the way, is definitely not the way you storyboard. Because I'll storyboard out how I want to film it, so that what the scene would look like in little stick figures.
Mm-hmm. I don't storyboard because I've never done visual.
Yeah. So mine, and I wish I knew where that notebook went. I literally do like boxes, and I storyboard, okay, so this scene is gonna look like this, and it's a little stick figure doing this, and like I have little like motions of, oh, she's running away, so there's like those little wind marks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on this one it's gonna be an interesting challenge because I also would have storyboarded in the other characters. But the other characters are a duet.
I don't think it's a problem with storyboarding, like just so you can have a point of reference what the other characters might be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I guess I might go ahead and just like on like always read the manual, the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like my idea would have been for Belladonna to be in the background when Delta and Ethan are talking. So it might just be like you get shots of her between the two, and so in actuality it'd just be like two human-like figures standing there, and you see her further back doing her thing at the computer. But I wish I would have storyboarded that so you guys can see it. But yeah, so storyboarding is going to be interesting. So going through on each one and making sure that they're there.
Mm-hmm. Can you do me a favor? When you finish your storyboarding, can you just take pictures for me and send them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would like to see what they look like. And also, it's another way of us just documenting. And next time we can show them what they look like. So, well, our episode's been running pretty long this time around again. But you can definitely cut down our arguing. Over.
Before we even got to the arguing, it was going to be a long episode, which we need to start really trying to make this under an hour.
Yes. Yes, that's where actually scripting out what the heck we're talking about on these episodes are going to be.
Not going off on rants and tangents.
We were doing really good in the beginning where we were actually like calling each other up like a day or so before and talking about like, okay, we really need to talk about what we're going to talk about. But these last 3 weeks have been really hard because you've been working a lot of hours, and then I had some drama going on my end, so it's like we haven't been able to like really connect on that level the way we've been the last couple of weeks. So we're hoping to get those things tied up, and the next episode should be better. So yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Anyways, so thank you guys for tuning in. The next episodes are definitely gonna be more thorough, more planned. But other than that, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that little bell icon so you can get notifications. And leave us a comment down below. Tell us about how you feel when you get critiqued. How defensive do you get?
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Ciao.
Bye.